It is 11 at night. Your baby is exhausted. You can see it in their eyes. That glazed, heavy-lidded look that means every system in their body is asking for sleep. And the moment you put them down, they lose it. So here is the question every parent eventually lands on. Why would anyone fight the one thing they need most? What exactly are they afraid of? It turns out that question has a precise scientific answer, and it is not what any sleep training book will tell you. Let's start with what everyone assumes. The baby is overtired, undertired, has a sleep association, needs a darker room or a white noise machine. These things may be true, but none of them answer the actual question. Because the question is not what is disrupting the sleep. The question is what the baby's nervous system believes is at stake when sleep is asked of them. Researchers at the University of Virginia studying infant sleep resistance published findings in 2018 that reframed the entire conversation. They were not looking at sleep schedules. They were looking at what happens neurologically in the minutes before sleep onset in babies who consistently resisted. What they found was a measurable cortisol spike, a full stress response during the transition from wakefulness to sleep. Not after being put down, before, during the settling. The stress response was not a reaction to being left alone. It was anticipatory. The baby's nervous system was generating a threat response to the approach of sleep itself. That is not a scheduling problem. That is a biological alarm system that has decided sleep is dangerous. But why would sleep feel dangerous? The human infant is, from a survival standpoint, the most helpless organism produced by any mammal on Earth. They cannot regulate their temperature, cannot source food, cannot move towards safety or away from threat. For the first months of life, survival is entirely contingent on physical proximity to a caregiver. The infant nervous system knows this, not intellectually, biologically, in its most fundamental operating code. Sleep, from that perspective, means losing consciousness, losing the ability to monitor the environment, losing the ability to signal for help if the caregiver moves away. For a brain whose primary survival directive is maintain contact with the person keeping you alive, unconsciousness is not rest, it is vulnerability. The baby fighting sleep is not being difficult. They are executing a survival protocol that kept human infants alive for hundreds of thousands of years. The crib, the separate room, the expectation of solitary sleep, these are extraordinarily recent inventions. The nervous system generating the protest has not received the update. Now, here is where the science becomes specific, because not all babies fight sleep with equal intensity. And the variable that predicts the severity of the protest is not the sleep environment, it is the attachment relationship. Developmental psychologists studying the connection between daytime attachment and nighttime sleep found a pattern that initially seemed paradoxical. Infants classified as securely attached, those with the most responsive, attuned caregivers, showed the most intense initial protest when put down to sleep. The insecurely attached infants went down with significantly less resistance. Once understood, this is not paradoxical at all. The securely attached baby has a nervous system that has been calibrated to high caregiver responsiveness. It has learned through thousands of interactions that signaling works, that protest produces connection, that you come. That system at bedtime does exactly what it was trained to do. It signals loudly, because experience has proven that signaling works. The baby who goes down quietly is not a baby who feels safe. They are a baby whose nervous system has stopped expecting the alarm to be answered. The baby fighting sleep the hardest is, in many cases, the baby you trust the most. There is one more layer. After 4 months, as object permanence begins developing, a second dimension of anxiety enters the bedtime window. The dawning cognitive understanding that things which disappear do not cease to exist, that you are somewhere, that somewhere is not here, that the distance between those two facts is real and currently unresolvable. A 2020 study from the University of Amsterdam found a consistent spike in sleep resistance between 4 and 6 months, precisely the window in which object permanence consolidates. The babies were not more tired. Their understanding of the world had just been expanded in a very specific way. They had become sophisticated enough to understand what they were losing when the lights went out. So, what this means practically is that the protest at bedtime is not a behavioral problem to be extinguished. It is a cognitive and neurological milestone. The baby who started fighting sleep at 5 months and did not before is not regressing. They have just become sophisticated enough to understand what they are asking you to take away. So, the next time you're standing in that hallway at 11 p.m. listening to the protest, remember what you are actually hearing. A nervous system doing its job with precision and commitment. A small person who has learned that connection is real and that the distance between you and them is something that matters enough to fight. That is not bad sleep. That is a good relationship running its program in the dark. Subscribe. More of the hidden science behind your baby's developing mind every week.